Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. Thanks for tuning in today. My apologies for yesterday. Um, I had to take the day off from repairing pens because um, I normally send my daughter a text every morning. Hello, Inky. Um, just to kind of see where she's at and making sure she's up. And seeing what's on her agenda for the day, and she told me, she's like, "Well, I'm getting ready to come over." Good afternoon, Jason. How are you? Um, so my daughter was planning on coming over to shoot product videos and some videos we had discussed, and I was not prepared for that on very short order. Uh, so I wanted to make the most of her time, and we ended up shooting videos for somewhere in the realm of like 5 hours. I think we shot a total of Olive. How are you? I think we shot a total of something like 30 videos. I lost count. I completely lost count. Um, but I figured they were all very similar in nature. They all required the. I know what you meant, Olive. I know what you meant. They all required basically the same setup, and we kind of knocked them out. The biggest part was trying to figure out where and how to do certain parts of it and how to set it up. Since um, when we had the store, I mean, the store was like the perfect backdrop for anything, and there was always room for cameras and moving around. And um, probably the most grave mistake I made was we decided we were going to shoot on the new countertops because the new countertop is really quite lovely. And I unplugged the coffee maker, which of course is programmed, and of course I don't know how to program it. And of course, Lisa's the one that depends on the programming. So I made a little extra work because you can't just plug it back in. It didn't have a memory. I know some do. I thought maybe for a second maybe there was like a coin battery in there or something that was gonna no. Oh, you're there, Hans. Hans is here just for a brief bit, I suppose, today. He's been sending me photos all morning. Well, maybe not all morning, but of all sorts of lovely stuff that if I were on my way to DC, I would be in the same room and we would be, it would be exciting. And I'm going to admit I'm completely jealous. I'm living vicariously through you. Um, you are going through the box of pencil lead. See, I did that once. Um, I bought out Swisher pens inventory, and you need one style of Sheaffer lead. Okay. Um, I don't. I don't think I have it, but if you don't find it, shoot me an email what you're looking for or a message. Because actually, ironically, I was sort of going through some lead today, some pencil related things today. Um, it must be here. Uh, when I bought out Swisher stuff, we had um, these storage bins, the ones you see. I mean, everybody knows what I'm talking about. You've got them in your garage. They're what are they? 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're 3 by 6 drawers high. They're these things. You know, and we bought. I don't remember how many, 10 or 15. You're gonna drive up to DC tomorrow. Yeah, good. Yeah, man, take some pictures. Um, I think we probably bought 10 or 15 of these storage units, and then they all had ballpoint rollerball refills, pencil lead, pencil mechanisms, erasers, converters. There were thousands and thousands of dollars of converters alone in these things. Um, you're going to be living vicariously through everyone at DC. Absolutely, right? The rest of us are going to be stuck here. Well, we're not going to be stuck here. We'll do something fun maybe. I don't know what we're going to do. I have a pen I need to ink up, so maybe I'll do that. I mean, that's a good solid 5 minutes worth of entertainment, right? Um, Probably 10 minutes if you factor in my limited ink choices. But anyway, I'm looking at trying to get a count on a couple of things and reorganize my sacks and J bars and things. And virtual pencil, yeah. I mean, throw some ideas out there. Anybody wants to do something fun for the next couple of days? I'm getting. I have to be honest. I am getting a little burnt out on repairing pens. I've been doing it for 7 months, like pretty much 4.5 days a week, and my brain is just starting to go. Um, but uh, but anyway, so I was cleaning out some storage bins today and finding some really weird stuff. I mean, like I've got an insane number of erasers for like pelicans and auroras and two different kinds of platinum eraser. I mean, it's ridiculous the stuff that I have. I mean, it's I don't know why I have it. I don't know why I keep it. I just never throw this stuff away. The only thing because erasers eventually go bad. Maybe show some of the favorite pens you've been working on with some history or backstory. Okay, we'll come up with something. We'll come up with something. Um, so anyway, trying to get that stuff organized, and it takes longer. Um, okay, you'd enjoy that too. All right, well, I'll come up with something tomorrow around Friday. Um, so lots of it just one thing leads to another, and then you're cleaning something out, and then these things had like remember you could get the old U.S. Postal Service priority mail tape. Do you guys remember that stuff from a long time ago? I mean, it was awesome. You could get free tape from the Postal Service, and these things had that stuff stuck on them. And I've got 2 units right next to me with this U.S. Postal, and it's like I'm tired of looking at it. I've had these things for over 10 years, and like half torn off priority mail tape, and I mean they're just dirty, and I'm tired of it, and I'm not gonna put up with it anymore. So cleaning things up. We originally had them labeled bins like A through I don't remember I maybe, and then each one was labeled, one through whatever, because some of them have the small bins at like half small bins on the top, and then the large bins on the bottom. So everything was labeled, so I knew F28 was the DuPont mini ballpoint refill, and I had a little binder, and customer would come in and they'd say, well, I need a refill for this. We'd go, okay, well, let's match it up. And then we would have an example in a book and then a little card, and it would say F28, and I go, okay, go to F, bin F, and then number 28, and I pull it out. So I still have all these numbers on here because over the years we shrunk some of them down. I got rid of some. I put some out at the curb. I mean, I must have gotten rid of a half a dozen of them. Probably at least 6 or 8 of them when we moved in December. Um, so, I mean, they're just messy, and I'm like, well, anyway, we got first shipment of paper today, so that's exciting. I'm getting the next two. There was 3 boxes in the shipment. Apica, Maruman, and Midori paper. And so most of it today, well, I mean, I guess it was mostly Maruman and Apica today. Or Pika, depending on how you pronounce it. So that was going up on the website. Let's see what else is in the news. So yeah, the rest will be in tomorrow. We got to deal with that. Storage units coming along. There's a lot happened in the last 2 days. The warehouse is filling up, which is good. Getting some of this stuff out of the house, or at least you look at it and you've got product on the shelf. So still on track for August 15th, which is good. New announcements in the pen world. I don't know if anybody saw. Might be interesting to chat about. The new Visconti Homo sapiens demonstrator. Do you guys see this thing? 1,000 pencil lead container here, but not the one you need. Oh man, yeah, that's how it goes, doesn't it? You find the mother lode, and there ain't nothing in there for you. Let's see if I can bring this up. If you haven't seen this Homo sapiens, you did see it. Okay, good. Let me find it here. It's pretty outrageous. Look at that. It's the third. Let me pull up a picture here. Look at this thing. And the price. I mean, the price is all there in a bag of chips, right? Pretty cool. 2-stage reservoir. I'm really curious if Visconti actually look at this thing. Did they actually test this nib? Blue feet. That's interesting. Interesting choice of color, I guess. I'm curious to see whether or not that thing is actually going to leak like the bejesus off the nib. I guess they went with it has Egypt vibes, and you're curious about the holy nib. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, and it's got the Pharaoh's price, right? I mean, it's what is it, 1900 fountain pen memes take on it? I didn't see it. 1850 retail. I thought it was supposed to be 1950 or something. 14 karat nib. Look at that. It's a neat nib. I just don't know if it's I mean, is the ink going to get out? How is that ink going to work? How the ink flow? I mean, yeah, it's supposed to stay in the channel, but we all know that doesn't always happen. So there is that. Sheaffer announced a new pen today. Let's see if that's up. That actually looks pretty cool. I do want to get your the right website here. It's going to be a nightmare with anybody with OCD. Yeah, yeah. All right, Hans. Have a great rest of your day. Yeah, sorry. I was shooting videos. And a lot of videos. Um, Let me see if I can pull this up. For whatever reason, it's not. Gold Saver Technology. Yeah, okay. Let's take a look at this. Aerated for your. Oh, man. Yeah. The Delta Fusion. Um, yeah, that was, and the Delta Fusion was one of those things that when we first got into the business, was one of the first expensive pens we ever got. And I remember getting them because we still had, it was before we had the store, we still had everything in the basement. And we had remodeled the basement quite nicely, I might add, with beautiful wood shelves. And in 6 months, we outgrew it. I mean, it was ridiculous. But we got these things in. Half of them had that little gold piece had would come off, or it was loose, or there was a huge gap, or I mean, it was not good. But the nibs were very good. It was 98% marketing, and 2% it was actually just a decent steel nib. Um, I bought one for myself. I loved it. I thought the materials were cool. Um, and actually, on Dave's, hey McPenthusiast, on Dave's first day at our store, he had um, his first day on the job. I think it was his aunt and uncle, or his wife's aunt and uncle. I can't remember. I think his wife, uh, his wife's aunt and uncle came in and claimed they were interested in buying a pen as a gift, and they ended up buying a Delta Fusion. And of course, they asked Dave. They said, um, Dave, well, what do you like? And this was Dave's chance to. I wasn't there. I was still working. I still had a day job, and Lisa was there, and this was his chance to make a first big sale on his first day at work, and prove to the owners all that all that jazz that he didn't have to prove. But he said, "Well, I really like this Delta Fusion. It's really cool. It's a neat material." And so, well, what nib do you like? And da 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 da. And so they ended up buying the pen that Dave liked, Delta Fusion 82, and I don't remember the color. I want to say it was the green one. And they bought it in the nib that he liked, and then after they paid for it, they handed it back to him. And so that was his first day on the job present. I mean, what talk about there's not a better way to start a new job. Yeah, yeah. So Dave and I had sort of matching Fusion 82s because I had one in brown. I like the brown color, and I think we've talked about this before. Brown's not a terribly popular color, but yeah, it was so nice. It was so nice. I was so happy for him. And I don't know that they knew he was coming in. I don't know that he knew they were coming in, and then somehow he bought into this. We're gonna instantly give somebody in the family a fountain pen, and it turns out to be him. Um, so anyway, I was looking for the Sheaffer. I want to show you that. See if that's up. There is a new Sheaffer coming out. Of course, it's not on their website. Can I show you that? Can I show you that? Um, oh, here it is. Let me just double check. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So this is a new series come out by Schaefer, and I'm really I'm thinking I'm gonna probably pick this one up. Um, if y'all remember the Schaefer VFM and the 100 in the coffee edition with the kind of that ombre pattern, kind of a light, kind of a creamy to a dark. They've done it again, and they've got it in two different, um, also in the VFM and also in the 100, and they're both different, like they were with the coffee edition. So, um, they're calling it the Expressions. Number one, I think they did a. I have to admit, I think they did a terrible job here trying to show us the actual ombre of the pen, just because they've got them posted, so we don't really know how much of this pink we see. Although we do have the ballpoint there. Um, I think it's kind of a nice. Let's see if I can zoom in on that a little bit. Does that look better? Oops. I think it's kind of a nice looking pattern on the 100. What do you guys think? So there's that one. You like that design? Yeah. Yeah, I kind of do too. It's not too over the top. I mean, it's like, light blue to turquoise to pink gradient. I would love to see a little bit more, but there's no unposted pictures of the pen. I think that, hang on, sorry, I'm clicking around here. I guess that's maybe a little bit. I think you're going to get a little bit more of this darker pink here on the end. Um, Underneath the cap. And of course, these nibs, do they come in fine, medium? Probably fine and medium. Yeah, fine or medium. Okay, so there's that one. That's pretty nice. And then this is the VFM version, which I like actually even better, except I don't like the fountain pen. There's so much I don't like about the fountain pen. I refuse to kind of buy this. There we go. The ballpoint, yeah, it's a nice, real nice gradient. The ballpoint, the rollerball is okay. My biggest beef with the rollerball, and the fountain too, other than I just don't like the fountain, is the cap doesn't really post the best. It could post better. The fountain pen uses short international cartridges, not Sheaffer cartridges. Does not fit a converter, and has kind of an iffy steel nib. So I don't ever recommend the VFM fountain pen. Um, I don't think it seals up all that well either. So you get a situation where the pen dries out. But if you need an inexpensive ballpoint or a roller ball to throw in your bag, this is not a bad looking pen. This is not a terrible looking pen. It's cheap feeling to you, the fountain pen or the VFM in general. I mean, I don't disagree, but we're also, let's see, the fountain pen. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're also in the sub $40 price. I don't know why it doesn't unavailable. The ballpoint's unavailable. Rollerball's unavailable. It's it is an inexpensive pen, but this is really nice. This is and the 100 is just such a nice pen. It has the same nib and feed as on the Prelude, as on the 300. The cap posts securely. If they could do away with the shiny metal section, or maybe put something on it, sort of how like the Lamy Studio and stainless has that black coating on the grip. And I don't want black coating on this, but you know what I mean. It's got that coating on the grip. I think you could open it up for quite a few more people. Because I always say if you take a fountain pen and you put a metal section on it, you've instantly alienated uh, a reasonably large segment of the fountain pen community. Um, Other words, the pen is great, right? I mean, you've got a nice brass barrel. It's got nice weight. The nib is pretty fantastic. It seals up. There's what not to like about this pen. It is really pretty nice. It's decent looking. The clip is decent. It's not too bulky in the pocket. Um, so those are brand new, just announced today. And dang it, I told myself I was not going to buy any new product right away, because it's already trying to launch the new website is already such a chore to try to get all the old products and the images up, because I don't, I have images, um, but to get these now I need extra a little bit of extra editing from my daughter, who is already seriously overworked, and especially after yesterday. I mean, 5 hours of video, she was like, I and so but I think I have to buy these. I think I have to buy these. These are just so good looking. Um I don't know that they're going to be. I mean, if the coffee edition wasn't coffee and it was just a brown pen, I don't think, it would have done so well. I think these are almost even better colors. Almost even better colors. I don't know what your opinion is on this. Um, but I think I might grab some of these. They're just really, really pretty. So anyway, I think that's it for industry news today. Um, we'll just keep throwing these little tidbits out. I know it's like 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks from Friday, actually, is the launch date. Um, so I know I'm teasing you like well in advance, and I'm sorry. But there it is. All right, let's take a look at what we got. And like I say, I gotta admit, I'm kind of getting burnt out. And with launch day coming, I'm getting busier and busier. I've got shipments coming in. I've got stuff to do. But let's see if we can't knock some of these PFMs out that we started on Monday. A number of them we've had some issues with. Um, I have been soaking the nib sections. Anything where there's no nib section here, yeah, unfortunately, it's all of the grays. Is the restoration work restorative to you? Um, when they're my pens, yes, yes, they are, and that's why, like, I wasn't too disappointed about um, missing yesterday. Well, I got another image you got to see. Let's see, how do I get this to work here? I got an email from a client, and he needed a pen repaired. Let me see if I can open it up in here. Oh, there we go. All right. What I'm about to show you is shocking. It is not It is not safe. You will cringe. And I'm just going to put that out there in advance. I am sorry for showing you the next image. Uh, a gentleman emailed me and told me he what was the text here? Let me see if I can get the exact wording. Um, his grandmother recently found her father's fountain pens. Yes, hide your kids, hide your pets. And he wanted to reach out to a professional about repair services. And so I have to wonder, because this was the second sentence. I've been trying in vain to disassemble them, and after damaging the spring mechanism on the Parker Vacuumatic, I wanted to reach out to a professional. Um, he tried to pull the filler pump. Are you ready for this? With a pair of vice grips. Y'all know where this is going, right? And so the question I have, the question I have is, when people do this kind of thing, right? They take a pen and they use pliers, they use vice grips. What do they think they're going to accomplish if they actually do get it open without breaking it? Do they think they're just going to magically be able to repair the pen? So I am not certain whether or not. So now, thankfully, when I click this over, there are two pens in the picture. One is in Esterbrook. The Esterbrook, he used hot water to try to remove the nib unit. Thankfully, the nib unit came out unscathed. It looks like that pen is fine. The Vacuumatic, I will say, is restorable, but vice grips, filler unit. Are you ready? Here you go. Um, so even more of the story. We've got a double jewel burgundy pearl Speedline Vacuumatic, which is marked for export to South America. Marca Registrada. So it doesn't look like there's any damage to the end, so we can still get that filler, the threaded collar off. As long as nothing else went awry. I mean, but we have a multiple $100 pen here, several $100 pen here, and we've got vice grips to try to get it apart. And I'm thinking, well, what is? Anyway. Um, so hopefully he's going to send him along. I mean, it's unfortunate that's a speed line filler, because that automatically makes the whole thing more expensive. Yes, you could put a regular filler in there, but that's not right. You may or may not have used a knife sharpening stone to smooth the balance to nib. Even that doesn't seem quite as abrasive, right? Um, I'll give him extra points. He was brutally honest about using vice grips. Um, But it reminds me of, you get pens that have scratches on sections. And like, at what point do you just stop? At what point do you just stop? I mean, I've broken pens too. So I mean, I've probably broken more than the average bear, but I've done 100 times more repairs than the average bear. So, and bears don't do repairs. All right. This, by the way, is my second pot of coffee today. We got a couple. Let's clean these out. These have kind of been sitting for a couple days, so they should be good to go. All right, let's see. Scrap piece of paper here. These should be good to go after 2 days in the acetone. There should be nothing left in them to give us problems. You smooshed a Lamy section that was stuck. Yeah, I realized vice grips weren't the right tool. Yeah. So, yes, indeedy. Well, I just thought y'all might find that interesting. And if, and I realize there are some people in the chat who don't repair pens or who have interest in it. Um, but there are specialized tools for doing everything we do. If you do not have them, sometimes substitutes are just not the, it's not the thing. Well, I do have, yeah, like I said, I've got a pen that I've been kind of sitting on. And I think maybe tomorrow might be the day to finally ink it up. Um, I was kind of saving it for the launch, but that's like 2 weeks away. Nobody wants to wait that long. It's the old problem that if you only have a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Hey, Glenn. Yeah, isn't that the case, right? So, like I told the guy, I said, the good news and the bad news. The good news is the Esterbrook is probably okay. Um, the Parker is still fixable. The bad news is it's going to cost a lot, and you didn't, you did it on a Burgundy Pearl double jewel export to South America with the speed line. I mean, I guess the only thing we should be grateful for is, well, he didn't damage anything else, and the it wasn't a lockdown. Well, this sack protector is pretty beat up. But I think we can still use it. They don't. They don't need to be perfect. They already have vent holes in them, so. Although I am tempted to replace it. It's just so bad. I mean, it's this I may actually have a part. Well, we don't have to assemble it today, and that was for this guy whose nib didn't come open yet. We can take a look at those. It is a beautiful 70, like 3 degrees today. I don't know how it is by you guys, but I mean, first day in I don't know how many weeks I've been able to open the screen doors in the morning. And I've got one on the west side and one on the east side, so I get decent ventilation. Of course, now I left them open while I came up here, so who knows? It's getting a little bit hotter. We got dancing ducks. Is that what that is? Dancing duck? Disco duck? 96 and humid here. Kids are out of town, but I take myself to a municipal pool after work. Nice. Nice. Lisa and I have not. I mean, we were out last night, so it was Lisa's birthday yesterday, and so we went out to eat. Her new boss gave her um, a gift certificate to the Olive Garden. So we head over there, and I'm like, that's sadly these days, uh, if you've got a gift card for the Olive Garden, that's about the only time it's actually affordable. So we went over there and then ran a couple of errands and um, we got back at like 9 o'clock, and it was still like 86 degrees. And we've been trying to walk. We set a goal. We're trying to walk 4 days a week. Um, 2 miles. We have a little 2 mile route in our little suburb area here, and 86 degrees at 9 o'clock is just too hot. It is too hot. I'm not gonna do it. 96 and humid. Yeah, very jealous of open windows. It's been 90s. Yeah, I mean it's been awful here for Wisconsin. I mean we'll brag about being 20 degrees below zero, but 190 degrees, 95. The heck with that. No thanks. 92, Glenn. Swim. Yeah. Heat index 115, 80 degrees today. Yeah. Yeah. No good. So I don't know. We'll still have a chance to get our weekly goal. I'm trying to get Lisa on Strava. If any of y'all are on Strava, um, she's had an account forever, but she's never done anything with it. So I finally, this past weekend, I got her, um, and she's an Apple Watch user. She also uses the Aura Ring, but she's an Apple Watch user too. And I got her to get Strava on her watch, and we got that all set up. That took forever. Um, and so she was all excited, and then she went. She said, "Well, I'm going to do it." And for me, if I know I'm going to be doing any kind of movement, I'll turn on the outdoor walk. You know, if it's lawn mowing, if it's blowing snow, if it's shoveling, whatever it is, I find it humorous to see the pattern that it takes. The GPS, and it's just one way to just to keep me motivated a little bit. And she's like, "Well, I'm going to go to the grocery store." I said, "Great, turn on your Strava." Or she's going to go shopping or whatever, kind of look for some things. And she turned it on, but she turned it on to like elliptical. So, of course, it didn't do any kind of GPS or count her steps or anything like that. But you don't miss 6 to 8 months of snow, but this time of year is not your favorite. It's not as bad here as clearly as it used to be. I mean, I don't know if when I was a kid it was worse. I've lived in Wisconsin most of my life. Um, but I do remember certain things that stick out in my mind, and it's these days it's really not. Yeah, that one came. It's not as bad as it used to be. We very rarely have snow for Christmas now. Very rarely. We get snow in January through like first week of April, and then that's it. But I mean, it's a pretty miserable. It's a pretty miserable 3 months. For a while, your Samsung watch would track lawn mowing, push lawn mowing as biking. Nice. It just do kind of it sensed the movement and it would. November used to be drab and wet. Now it's December. Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point where, I mean, we'll get some. We might get some snow in November. You just can't. You can't count on it. Whereas like we were talking about, Lisa and I were talking about the Columbus show, which will be my next show, and I'll go by myself. Lisa won't go. Obviously, she's got a job, but um, she's like, "Well, you can't take the car. You have to take your car." I said, like, I am not. First week in November, I am not driving the Corvette anywhere unless we got to get to the hospital, and that's the only car we have. But I mean, I could very well get to I could very well get to Columbus. I might not be able to get back. If we get even 2 inches of snow on the ground, it's going to make for a miserable trip for sure. So I guess what we decided we were going to do, since Lisa's got half day. She'll have a half day on Friday, and thankfully, her job is like maybe a 7 minute drive from here. Um, I'll take the regular car, and she's gonna call an Uber, and it'll just be for like that, maybe that Thursday, that Friday, or I'll leave Thursday night to get there in time for Friday. So just cleaning out this clutch ring here. It's pretty nasty. This is also on this pen with this nasty sack protector. And the sheer fact that Lisa's going to have to use an Uber for 2 days means it's going to be sunny and 70 that weekend everywhere between here and Columbus. I am most certain of it. Because it would be a really great trip in the vet. So now yesterday I did try. I mean, we'll see. This might be the only one we get open out of these five here. I did try all of these yesterday with no luck. So an additional day of soaking apparently was the trick, at least with this one. Trying to get as much of the old shellac out as possible. Just make it easier to screw it back together. Yeah, I wish there was a way to notify everybody if if you had a scheduled stream and you got to cancel it for some reason. There does not seem to be a good way to notify people other than you just don't get a notification that there's a stream that day. If anybody's familiar with the way, I sure would put a post on Instagram. Well, then I'm assuming you're going to check Instagram, right? I mean, it just seems like Twitch ought to be able to have that feature because they have it set so I can skip the day's stream. I can go to my schedule. All right. Fanatic uses status.lol as a service, but there's no push notifications. Okay, yeah. So if you got to use that, you might as well just Instagram is just as good as any. But it just seems weird, right? It seems weird that we don't have that ability. All right, now we got to clean the rest of this mess off. Look at that. Just I just hate leaving you guys hanging if I got to take the day off or something. So much adhesive on here. I was shocked today to find out, um, as I was checking in my paper order, pricing on Marumon has jumped. Apica and what I've checked in so far on Midori seems to be no price increase from last year. So I mean, I just don't. It's Marumon was significant of a price increase. I mean, I would have expected some kind of overall. Yeah, it's too bad, you know. And I kind of feel. I mean, yeah, I could have checked. I checked a couple of pieces and then I ordered and I was like, well, I was expecting price increases across the board. But Apica and the Midori I've checked in thus far, no increases at all. Um, you know, and sometimes I swallow the price increase, but this was too much to swallow. Sorry, I got a text I can look at. All right, that is much better. All right. Let's see if we get lucky with this guy. What a two. We're just going to take this off. We have a lot of shellac in there. For the most part, most of the product that we've been checking in over the last couple of weeks, pleased to see minimal increases. You're being horribly bad doing a third cup of coffee today. I was kind of in the same boat. I normally drink. We make a pot of coffee, and usually what we would do is we'd each. It's enough. The pot is enough for each of us to have a cup. And then Lisa fills her coffee mug, and then there's maybe one cup left for me. Or usually what happens is she has a cup of coffee, fills her mug, and then I have like a cup and a half or something. Um, and that's it. And today I decided, I had a couple things I really wanted to do, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna make a second pot, like 10 cups, not 12. Yeah, so for me, I very rarely have more than two, as well. Usually the problem is I'll drink the first cup, and you notice today I put it in a Contigo. I drink the first cup, got a little game on my phone that I play every day, and if Lisa's there, we talk about what's going on for the day, what to do, and I can drink it fairly regularly. It stays hot. When I pour the second cup, I've now I've had breakfast with the first cup, whatever that is. Usually involves eggs of some sort, um, or a muffin or something. And once that's done, the laptop slides over, and I start work. And I don't drink as fast once I start working, and it gets cold, and then I add a little bit more, but then it doesn't stay hot as long because I'm obviously pouring hot coffee in with cold, and I made that second cup, and then I haven't consumed it all, so usually only have one. Yeah. Now clean this one out. Lots of lots of stuff on. Today's just one of those days. Everything all right? Just want a little extra coffee. Took a personal day just because. Mental health is important. Just can't focus to do anything. You got 2 pens done yesterday, resacked and ready to write. That's fantastic. Good for you. All right. Well, this just looks nasty. I don't know what they used on this one. Went outside for 2 minutes, still hot as Hades. Came back in, been in ever since. Yeah, I'm about ready to get up and turn the air conditioning on. It's getting a little hot in here. I don't know if it's because I'm drinking coffee or this one still won't come. You're too old for this shit. Yeah, just talking about it makes me. I gotta step up here. Let me give me a second. I gotta turn the air on. Oh. Yeah, it's 76 in here, so it's not just the coffee. Interestingly enough, my Contigo, this looks like it's holds a fairly decent amount. And I had filled up my coffee mug, and then I just poured it in there, and wouldn't you know it, it's like the same amount. So it's literally like 1 cup of coffee in there. These two guys, I'm gonna sit back in the soaker, the ultrasonic. It sure looks like shellac. What did I do? There it is. All right, let's see. So let's well, that's just ugly. But we don't have to deal with that right now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna clean off these guys, make sure the snorkel tubes are clear, and then we can put some stacks on there, and then we'll check the springs, and we still have to check the caps yet. So I mean, there's a lot of work to do here yet, but let's just check the snorkel tubes first. And I'm going to use a little thinner This is a fairly thick, stiff piece of wire. This is a violin E string here. It should be a little easier to get through. At least we know that this is clear. One of the problems of doing assembly line uh, fashion with this many pens is it can take a long time to get anything done, but then all of a sudden, boom, you got 15 pens done. Is there a violinist in my life? No, there's not. My ex-wife was a cellist, though, and a pianist. So I'm sure she wanted to strangle me with a piano wire at some point. No, I used to work at a music store, actually with Dave. I was in the music industry for a long time, as was Dave. And you would get, I discovered that there are a lot of things in band and orchestra that were great for pen repair. So, which is why I have, we would get instruments with broken E strings, or you'd get a rental instrument back and it would have a spare string in it, but you couldn't resell it, obviously. And they would just toss it. Same thing for my polish cloths. They're all band and orchestral instrument polish cloths. My pink one here is actually a this is my final buff cloth, is actually a Selmer lacquer cloth. My brushes for cleaning inside caps are trumpet mouthpiece brushes, brass mouthpiece brushes. Sometimes I use the woodwind ones, but I cut them down because they're a little bit more conical shaped. I'm sure your back is stronger, sturdier than your back. Yeah, how am I? I'm doing good, thank you. I was just thinking the other day that it's at this point it's becoming the inside joke of the street. Yeah, well, getting old sucks. Let me tell you that. I think my back is fully recovered now, and it literally has taken up until maybe a week ago. I could still feel my lower back twinging, and I roll over at night. I hate it when I do this. I drop something in the garbage can. And it's all a bunch of pen repair parts and cat hair. Is really what it amounts to. I'll go digging later. I think it was one of my brushes. Fuzzy Turnip, how are you doing? If you were to ask me, you seem healthier than a lot of people your age I have seen. I know you're a very young star in the night sky. Yeah, yeah. I try. I really do. I think my big problem is I'm a big fan of food. Lisa would call me probably a picky eater, but what I like, and promise I get a signed photo if you order it. Yeah, absolutely. Just ask for it. Signed photo? Wow. I don't have headshots or anything like that. You call yourself unlucky. I just, I'm not a foodie. There's just a lot of things I don't eat, which is not good for me. And I've tried over the years to try to rectify that to some degree. Um, I am not a fan of fruits. Don't like them. I don't like anything they're in, which is terrible because I really should be eating them. I'm a big fan of starches. And carbohydrates. Eggs, soy, nuts, some fruits, and many other allergies. Excuse me. You can't eat outside unless you're familiar with the place. As a matter of fact, sometimes I get some trauma from eating out. Oh my goodness. Sorry to hear that. If I could not eat eggs, I don't know what I would do. It would not be a happy day. Really, I know this is ridiculous. Well, I hate to lose a fresh Fresh buff stick. I'll tell you though, it is pretty fascinating to be digging through this garbage can. There are a ton, and I do mean a ton, of old sacks in that garbage can. You never ate a pastry in your life. You never had a birthday cake. Yeah, I'm a big fan of donuts too. Particularly if they come from like a small bakery, like a local bakery. I like to support the local places. Funny enough, fast food are one of the rare things you can eat since you know exactly what goes where and what they are made of. You would think vegan would be the solution to my problem. Nope, soy ruins it. Okay. Okay, those are gonna go. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swap these out. This pen needs a new blind cap, so um, I might have another one of these. So if I do, then this was the only one that didn't come out. Look at that. Yeah, we're you just said the word wine. Yeah, food is such a major part of culture. Can be frustrating. Yeah, and some family traditions. I'm gonna set this one, but since I don't know which direction this is gonna be, we're not gonna seal it yet. This PFM look really neat, but I have to admit I like being able to refill a cartridge, flush the pen, and go. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is something to be said for that for sure. Can't do takeout ever. I've never done Uber Eats. Never done that ever. I'm gonna put that one upside down. We'll know that when we get to it though. Well, and we don't have the nib free on that one. You're happy to see colors for once, no black. Well, these aren't my pens, so I'm gonna double check. I forgot to check the slits on these tubes here, so I'll do that real quick. Well, that one I can see through, so we know that's good. And so what I'm doing is these have, let's zoom in here. You can see that slit there, and it corresponds to a slit in that feed. And what we need to do is we need to make sure that that is free of any possible dried ink or anything else. Because that's where the ink is going to suck up. Most effectively. I think I did these two, yeah. No, I did that one. I don't have to do this one yet. But I'm going to do them all at once, even though this pen is going to have to wait. If you use black, you'd have to have them completely dark and shiny. I mean, black was like a standard color for every vintage pen, pretty much. Would be a fun typeset to collect, just black. One black of every style. Black single jewel vac, double jewel vac, dual fold junior, skyline, deco band. Esterbrook dollar pen, J transitional. No pastels though. Unless you count white with black jewels. Of which there are two varieties. Back in my day, were color as prevalent as they are now. Now, hey, now I'm not that old. Not that old. Although there were far fewer. You told your kids when they were growing up that colors were invented when they black and white photos. Means I'm an elf. Fountain pen inks were not as there were not as many colors of fountain pen ink. Now that being said, there were some brands that had, it was more than just blue black, blue black, red and green. There were some brands that had quite a number of different colors. Sanford was one. Carter's, they were another one. I do remember the Christmas one year where my parents bought me a black and white TV. I remember that year. I don't know what year it was, but if it helps date it, I had an Atari 2600 with asteroids, and I remember playing that game so often. I got so good on a certain version of it because they had different ways you could play it. My high score was like 4,092,000 points. I do always remember a color TV in the living room though. All right, we're almost done with this part. You see, you spell color the right way. Okay, one more to go. Color was invented in the 50s. Until then, the whole world was black and white. You remember? Tube's a little squished, but it's not too bad. All right, that part's done. Inspect the springs. When I do snorkels and touchdowns and I disassemble like this, I like to put the spring in the same order as how it went in the pen. I should be able to, you should be able to flip it around, but you put it in the same direction, you know you're not going to have a problem. Part is done. I'm going to work on the caps next only because I don't want to get shellac on my fingers. And then work on the caps. Because that would just be bad. Oops. Oh, my monitor. Then we can cut these up. Sacks, that is. Look at that. A little bit in there, not much. My daughter was enthralled yesterday by the salad spinner. I even had Lisa on, I think it was Monday evening, when she went to do some shopping, sending me pictures of all the salad spinners at the TJ Maxx, thinking maybe I wanted another one. You know, it's a salad spinner, but every time you see it, you get a craving for ice cream. Like you sit, the old timer ones that you sit there and you put the rock salt in and you spin it yourself. You ever do that? Is that what you're talking about? Yep. Yeah, I remember doing that. And not any of that mamby pamby automatic stuff. When we were a kid, my family would go to Canada every summer. And actually, my parents went multiple times. They would go for they went on their honeymoon, so um, they would go for their anniversary. They would go up, and then we would stay with my grandparents um, for the week. And it was in in summer before school, so it was not a huge deal. And then we would go. They would usually go a second week with my grandparents, and then they would go a third week where all of us would go. So my grandparents would go twice, and my parents would go three times, and then we would go once, and then so we would go, and then my parents would, they would plan, and we would go fishing. That's what we would do, and they would bring occasionally they would bring the ice cream maker, and we would sit there, and as kids we would sit on top of it while we turned the crank. I can't help but wonder what the economics behind that are. Probably cheaper just to get a quart or something, huh? A mouse battery is very low. That ain't it. This will work. Give me just a second here. Remember your dad cranking it and his friend standing on it. Oh, really? Yeah, good times. We would go and have. I wonder how much. I wonder really. I do wonder though how much it would. If you buy your ingredients, is it reasonably economical to make that? Probably not. I mean, forget the time factor, right? So I mean, as I recall, it was quite an ordeal. You sit there for I don't know half hour. I mean, it seemed like hours. I mean, when you're a kid and you want ice cream, and your parent says you go sit on this and we'll get ice cream, it might as well have been 6 hours. Um, but I want to say it was like 30 minutes, or maybe I did it for a half an hour and my sister did it for a half an hour. I don't remember. Nowadays, I know they got those units, so they're just automatic. You plug them in, and then it goes. But I guess you can make whatever you want then, right? Yeah, I almost want to look that up. I'm not gonna look it up. I'm not gonna look it up. I do not need an ice cream maker. Needs got nothing to do with it, right? This one's got a little bit more substance going on in here. Those were good times. We always ate well when we went to Canada. Usually it was the same menu every year, but it was like all the favorites. There wasn't anything that anybody didn't like. It was my grandma's fried chicken. I can still taste it. It was what was it? Salisbury steak, I think they made. That was good. Of course, you gotta have you're going fishing. You got fish at least 3 or 4 nights out of the week. Wish I had that fried chicken recipe though. I don't know how she did it. You may never know. Don't you someday hope that Your kids talk about you the way we talk about our grandparents. It's the dirtiest one yet. It's not too bad. You know, it's really hard to get these like perfectly clean. It's sometimes they just need to be cleaner. $60 years of dirt and grime. I mean, if it takes this much effort to get it out, it's not coming out under normal circumstances. Well, the short tray is done. Gotta run. Hope to be back later. All right. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. Watching me clean caps. That's riveting stuff, I realize. But these will all start to come together soon. We're going to sack most of them today. Very calming to co-work with cap cleaning. All right. There's not much that can go wrong with cleaning caps. Not much. There is. I have one cap in mind that I'm always haunted by. And it was a copper Esterbrook dollar pen cap. One of my first big problems. In pen repair. As I was taking the section out of the barrel, I had thrown the cap in the ultrasonic, as I usually do with Esterbrooks. And I heated the barrel, and the section, or rather the barrel, was crystallized at the threads, and the copper dollar pen just came apart in pieces. And I looked at it and I said, oh no. And looked in the ultrasonic because it occurred to me at that very second the cap also had some crystallization on it. And sure enough, the cap was in 1,000 pieces in my ultrasonic. So, as I always say, you have to learn from your mistakes. It's okay to make them as long as you learn from them. And I ended up replacing not only the cap with the barrel for that pen, it was a whole to-do, that's for sure. Right around that point, I started to pay more attention to Esterbrook pens, particularly from that era, which we previously had written off as immune to some of the effects of other brands. And I have been starting to see more and more Esterbrooks with crazing and celluloid issues in the caps. Colors other than black, of course. And save the dirtiest for last, apparently. Oh my. This one I definitely have to clean since the rest of the pen went back together. It's about as exciting as polishing pens. All right, what do we got left to do? Sacks, huh? Do this like we did on the other page. We're going to skip these two. That one we don't have a nib for, so I'm not going to sack them until we get the nibs apart. All of these are good. Okay. In case you're wondering what these numbers are, these were the pens I used in the videos yesterday. 15 pens. These are my metrics, which case they're in, which row they're in, and which slot they're in, so I know where to put them back. Complete nonsense and only makes sense to me. All right, so we're going to measure one, and then I think we're going to cut all the rest to that measurement. It'll just be easier. Double check our measurement here. And it looks about right. If you're a little short by a little bit, it's not a huge deal. Since I don't do a lot of PFMs, I don't have a little mark at the bottom here for them. Make sure to make sure to put the sack the right direction. That won't work very well if you've got cut off the wrong end. All right. I'm going to start with this bottom tray first. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start to fill in these other slots. As we get them ready. How am I going to do this? So what I typically do is I'll put them in here to allow them to dry. If I do them in order, then I'll know exactly which one goes to which pen. Which isn't a huge deal, but it eliminates if I put the right pen with the right sack protector, it should, in theory, be much easier to put back into place. Goes in the first hole. So this second tray will become the first tray. Leaving the problem children on the first tray. All right, now see there, you got to be careful when you do this. You see I got a little extra. It's not too bad, but it could have, you want to avoid getting it in there, obviously. And I do like to give it a little bit of a rotation. I'm usually pretty good about getting the a good layer of shellac on there, but lot number 2. Those two are pretty close, but they'll be okay. Now, I'm going to run into a problem as I start getting around the bend here, so we'll figure that out in a minute. But nice thing about these is you don't really, as I'm saying that, I get some shellac on my fingers. You don't really, you do it just right, you're not going to get too much shellac on your fingers. All right. I'm going to throw a couple of these on there. And I'll be able to scrunch these down a little bit in just a minute. We don't need 3 rows for every pin anymore. going to kind of start to compress these. By the time we get to tomorrow, we will be assembling these and we won't need all the room for all the parts. What do we got left in here? Let's see. This. That's a good looking tray. This way, at least we can see some progress. Those are our problem child right there. Problem children, I guess. Holes are getting a little too big here, so I'm gonna have to. This is the last one. Ah. Not too much. A little bit on the thumb. All right, one last thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'll do it. So what I like to do. Oops. So much for keeping that order. Just going to double check. I'm going to push, make sure that this part here is pushed all the way up. And I'm going to put just a smidge of silicone right on the threads so that when the touchdown tube gets in contact with it, it's got a little bit of lubrication there. You don't need much. As they say, a little dab will do you. It's an easy step to forget. Like I say, this one is not quite all the way up. And sometimes that can happen when you're trying to pull out the snorkel tube. There's not much here to grab, so you end up grabbing kind of here to pull out, and then this ends up sliding down. It's really more of a problem on snorkels, TM models. It's just harder to the TM model has a ridge on the underside. This does not. So if you do have to push this in place, it's easier on your hands. This one slid quite a ways down. All right, so we have, if I can get this all in the same screen here, I can try not to bump that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Tomorrow we will be able to assemble Hopefully they will, fingers crossed, they will go back together nicely. And then we can seal them up. Just for giggles, we're going to see if either of these two here are going to open up. That one's a no. These do not want to open. They're both the same. I just taped the one so I know which one that is. And usually my system means the second one gets the tape. That's a gold nib. That's a gold nib. There's the tape. So these are going to just sit back in here. And we will try again tomorrow. I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9. That's not too bad. All right. Look at the time. It's 5 o'clock. Perfect time. Tomorrow should be fun. We will test all of these guys. And then if they fill properly, which I think they will, we can then flush them out, seal them up with thread sealant, and they will be good to go. Maybe a light polish. We got a couple that have some chalk marks on, so we're going to skip those. Just a light buff over with a clean cloth with no microgloss at all, just to make sure there's no fingerprints or anything on it. But the rest of them, I mean, they're generally pretty clean when they came in. So um, and we'll try again on those other two nib units. This other nib unit is needs to be replaced. So I need a couple of parts, which I'm trying to look for, and our good buddy Hans is on the hunt for me at the DC show. Tomorrow is Thursday, so if any of you all are going to the show or leaving for the show, please drive safely. Do take pictures. Would love to see and live vicariously through you. Whatever you find at the show. We'll finish these up, and then maybe Friday we'll do something fun. But what were we gonna do? We were gonna do. Let me have to scroll back here. Favorite pens that I've been working on with some history or backstory. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a little bit. Favorite pens that I've been working on. You know what I also could do is I could also bring a couple of pens out that maybe we could do something different. Do something different. I've got an idea. I got an idea. So anyway, thank you much for watching, for tuning in today. Have a great evening, a great morning, great afternoon, wherever you are on the planet. Be kind, be well, and we will see you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye now.